What up, Zimbabwe? Abana rumbutaura what is going on, like global currency reset, GRC. I've heard about it for years. You know what I'm saying? Since around the time year 9/11, as to say, that was the symbol. If you know the Illuminati, why the Trade World Center, those two towers, as you say, they represent finance, and the collapsing of finance, or the symbolic collapse of America as a powerhouse, because what my understanding is America was the world reserve standard. It used to be backed up by gold, like the currency. Like when they introduced it, it was backed up by gold. It wasn't just a fiat currency when it was adopted as a world standard. But then people like, I think Nixon, I'm not sure, was it Nixon or was it Reagan? But one of these American presidents, they took them off the gold standard, and they started using oil instead. So that's why the US became the petrodollar. So that's what's been given its value. Well, we can say it's the military, because that's the thing with America. If you don't deal with us, we'll kick your ass. So you are forced to deal with them. So slowly the world has been kind of maneuvering, trying to free themselves from the clutches of, like the IMF and the World Bank and the world banksters, these globalizations and whatnot. You see what I mean? So the thing is, with the inflation situation in Zimbabwe, of course, there's two sides to the story. There's those who just see what's going on in Zimbabwe, but then there's also those who are aware of what's happening globally. Because that's the thing. What was happening globally affected Zimbabwe locally, but a lot of people never bothered to look at the global events. You see what I'm saying? As to the kind of situation we are in now. Now, I got enlightened to the reason why they killed Gaddafi. Because with me, the first time when I was asked this question by a friend of mine, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm on point, man. I know. They went in there for oil, didn't they? They needed to get the oil. Same thing they did in Iraq. You see what I mean? But then it's like, okay, why did they go into Iraq for the oil? And I'm like, well, my understanding is Saddam was, going to switch, stop selling oil in the US dollar, because like I'm saying, the largest consumers of oil were becoming India and Asia. So it made sense for him to trade in euros or in another currency, because he didn't want to be tied down to simply selling his oil in US, because that's what America forced everybody to do. So they've been living pretty, these Americans, off of resources that are not theirs, really. They've gotten fat, gotten wealthy. The rest of the world pretty much, as you know how it is with Europe, they benefited from this. So it seems now that the reason actually was because, yes, Saddam wanted to sell oil in euros. So, that's devaluing the US dollar. It leaves it with no value. Because the reason why every country trades in America is because they buy oil. That's pretty much it. They don't produce anything anymore, pretty much. They got brands, their names, but most of the stuff is being produced in Korea, China. You know how it is. It's Xinjiang. So, my understanding is what happened, the reason why they actually killed Gaddafi, the main reason wasn't for oil. It was partly for oil as well, but they got enough oil. But the real reason they went into to destroy Gaddafi was to get his gold, because Gaddafi was going to liberate Africa from from Western colonization, pretty much, and by introducing and issuing a gold standard, the gold dinar standard, to be used all across Africa, and all African countries also to have a gold-based currency rather than a fiat currency, because fiat currencies, like with Zimbabwe, you've seen the runaway inflation. through overprinting. They just keep printing, keep printing, until we got into the situation where the money has no value. But anyway, the ZIM dollar right now, there are redemption rates that are going to be, well, there are redemption rates actually being issued. For some people, they actually, like you have to go and talk. I think it's certain banks. I think it was Wells Fargo now that has been bought by HSBC. So it's going to be one of these banks where you can actually redeem those $1 trillion that you think have no value. They actually have value because there's a promise to pay the bearer. And whenever there's that promise is absolute. It's timeless. Do you see what I'm saying? It's timeless. Now when you understand the principles of money, you have to understand it's timeless. Those promises are timeless. So there must be redemption for that money. So, that's what's up. So, this bond note thing in Zimbabwe, a lot of people don't understand it. Well, for you to get it, okay, the 200 million is there, and the 200 million is there, but the 200 million is there not as US dollar cash. No, it's in gold. You see what I'm saying? It's in gold. Now, the bond note is backed up by gold. The Zimbabwean bond note is backed up by gold. And they don't want you to really, really know this, but hints were made. Some of these ministers were minding, we've produced this equivalent, this amount of gold equivalent to this amount, and we're going to stash it. So you find that across the world, all the countries are actually pretty much doing the same. And they've introduced new currencies. And these currencies, if you know what about the BRICS, because this is the thing you guys never talked about, the BRICS nation, like Brazil, Russia, China. I think they ended up changing it to something recently. But it's a lot of people will know it as the BRICS nation. So these BRICS banks, pretty much have now the power to rival IMF and World Bank in terms of power. These other two institutions pretty much are corrupt. You see what I'm saying? They're pretty much corrupt. A good example is Iceland, where, this bubble, 2008, what housing, a lot of people got rich real quick in Iceland. And then they lost it all real quick also around that period because of what they call fractional reserve banking. You have to look into that. It's to say when you have got a certain amount of cash that you are holding, you can pretend that you're holding more and print out more, a certain percentage. Let's say you're holding $100, you can say I'm holding $150. So you can create that $50 out of thin air. You get what I'm trying to say? Just because you got $100, and you can lend that out and make profit on that. So that's what bankers have been doing. So with the advent actually of more and more digital money and less cash money, that's the thing, isn't it? They just transfer numbers into your bank. So money is being created out of nowhere so you cannot say, well, the bond, the same thing is being done to the US dollar. It's being created out of thin air. They're over 18 trillion in debt to, the Americans. How are they going to pay that debt? Do you get me? When we know the world can never consume that much oil, and they are not producing anything anymore. So the thing is, the US dollar, whether you like it or not, has lost value on the international scheme of things. They don't use the US dollar anymore. Now the Chinese yuan is being accepted as the international currency now of the world. And with the Chinese, we have got a good relationship, and with the BRICS, we have a good relationship. And the money, our bond, whether you like it or not, is being recognized. Already it's being recognized by these banks. And these BRICS banks, especially with the African Development Bank that was being developed by Gaddafi. So you have to find out, when they try and do these things in public, the Americans in the West, they always try to fuck it up for us. You get what I'm trying to say? So these things have to be done in secret now, with a lot of disambiguity. You see what I'm saying? But value. Where does value come from? Value comes from understanding. It's like Zakataro now, one of these politicians. I think it was Chino Timber. And it was like you're already using the bond coin, but then it could be in the bond note, you know, of which there are pitfalls and dangers, and of which I advocated for some of them. You know, I warned people, you know, this is the things that could happen. And if we have such a government, because that's the thing, if the government continues to be corrupt, and the bond will not work. It will go down the same way as, you know, the rest of it. But if they do adhere to the new rules, and the new rules, because there are new rules now, because I'm telling you, you know, like, America is not what you thought America was even. You get me? It's now becoming a true republic. It wasn't a true republic. It's now becoming a true republic. And you find, you know, the people who were supporting Hillary Clinton and them, the old establishment, the old money, the corrupt money, these people are scared right now. They are really, really scared right now because the world is changing. You know, the world is not evil as they portray it to be. You know, like when you go deep into these things, you even realize that the terrorism itself is an invention. You know, they invented ISIS and them things. You get me? ISIS, ISIL. You know, they created these people. They created Osama bin Laden. You get me? So there's a lot of evil America has done. A lot of evil the West have done. But the world is now finally caught up to it. America is no longer a superpower. The West is no longer a superpower. Right? You can look at France. France is sliding into a third world country as we speak right now. It's actually sliding into a third world country as we speak. France. And there you go. Because they got nothing. Right. So, you know, expand, you know, or your horizons. Don't be too caught up in, you know, just the local politics. And just the local politics. Find out what's going on worldwide, you know, in terms of money. What's going on worldwide? Because this is the thing. We are going to the gold standard. We are going to the gold standard. And I'm so glad we are moving to the gold standard. The bond note is not a fiat currency, first and foremost. It's not fiat currency. That's why you don't know what it is. And but this bond note is tied to our gold. You see what I'm saying? It is tied to our gold. So to increase the bond note, you increase the production in gold. You see what I'm saying? The gold reserves we have will be equal to the bond. And so the bond has got value in gold. That's why we don't want it to leave Zimbabwe. That's why it has to stay in Zimbabwe. That's why we don't want it operational outside of Zimbabwe, because you are now dealing with gold. And until other countries, well, the US is not gold, so, you know, right now, you don't know what's going on. But trust me, 50 years from now, you won't even be remembering all this. You know, you will be like, but no, we saw it coming. No, you didn't see it coming. Not at all. You see what I mean? So, I would advocate that use the rand. No, we don't need to use the rand because the rand is inferior to the bond. Zimbabwe, when we printed out those trillions and trillions, we paid our debts to the IMF with that money. Do you see what I'm saying? We paid it. And there are people who are holding those trillions and trillions of dollars. America is holding, China is holding. And we paid our debts. That's what they don't tell you. We don't owe anything at the IMF. I did the research, it's there. And you do the research too. It's there. And because when you calculate Zimbabwe, and for what it is worth, when you look at the mineral resources, the platinum and what, you know, you got land, and at one point we were number one agricultural producer in Africa because we got that land and we got the water. You see what I'm saying? So in terms of agriculture, we can produce, and we can produce in terms of agriculture. We can. So that's just one powerhouse there. And then we got the industry that is untapped. Right now it's operating below capacity. All industry is operating below capacity. All of it. It's operating below capacity. But this is the situation. There's, I think, about 169 countries so far that have signed up to it. And so we were talking by 2017, it's happening already. It's been happening since 2011. I mean, is it 9/11? Yeah, it's been happening since 9/11. For those who in the know, it's been happening since 9/11. So, Trump coming in upset that. It really, really upset that, or it really helped to upset that, because these guys are, these globalist bankers and whatnot. Hillary was their person. And, they would have really, really gone into it. They would have put a no-fly zone over Syria, all right? They would have declared war with Iran, right? Because, Iran also is, they got the dinar coming up right now. They got the gold dinar. They're exchanging, as we speak, all right? They're changing the fiat for the dinar. You see what I mean? You got the Muslim world as well, introducing the dinar. They're using the gold and dinar and silver. You see what I'm saying? So fiat currency really pretty much is going out. That's the deal. So, you got another 10 saying out of the boat industry and what. No, I don't knock them. But then you guys just need to do a little bit of research. Get what I'm trying to say? I'm not saying I know everything. But then I'm saying there's more to it than just what you think is going on locally, this is just our government, No. This is bigger than that. This is trying to free Africa. You see what I'm saying? Because when we declare, we were in Zimbabwe, we were around boundary 1:1, you are giving power to the Americans. Simple. Vuma is 1:1. In fact, you can do an overkill there, but 1:1. Vuma is 1:1. Simple. Why? Because it empowers you. It empowers you. And that's what do you see what I'm saying? You don't know that the things that are going on internationally. And this bond note is not fiat currency. It's backed by gold. It's backed by our resources. And that's what's up. So do your research and you'll find what I'm saying is pretty much spot on, And that's what's going on. So I don't know, let me know if you got more information on. Just let me know. Because you've got the old Chinese establishment that never went away. Did you get what I'm trying to say? And you've got the old African institutions that never went away. So these things that are happening now, it's pretty much good versus evil. And evil has been having its way. But now it's time for goodness. Time for goodness. So, guys, find out when they're going to be releasing my 0800 numbers for the Zimbabwe exchange currency, because it's going to be happening anytime soon. Anytime soon. Some people already are going to change. I got a few people I know online. We're going to change my ZIM dollars out, and they got US dollars for it. You can either get US dollars for it, or you can get what they call it's like New World credits. Within the global system. Even my bitcoins, you guys need to actually find out about that stuff as well. Like bitcoins. What are bitcoins? Digital money system. Some say it was invented by the CIA. Who cares? The algorithm is excellent. And there you go. For money transfer, especially if it's for one-to-one transactions, it's fast, easy, and just look it up. So anyway, yeah, that's the thing. There is this global currency reset that's taking place. And we are a part of it. So don't knock the bond. But yeah, you should have mistrust for our government, because they've got a reputation of fucking up. That's the truth. they've got a reputation of fucking up. But if they don't fuck this up, we are set for honor. Because this is an agenda. It's not just, this is an agenda to free ourselves. And that's why Zimbabwe is at the forefront of this. You see what I mean? Because we printed our money and we paid our debt. And you come down and say, that's it. And that's it. So people can talk, but facts on the ground. Do your research. You find most of what I'm saying is true. Holler back at me. Do another video, yeah?